Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS review video for the 2022 Honda Classic. In this video, I'm going to go over everything I covered in the preview and strategy video to see what went right and what did not. Of course, I'll provide a little bit of a tournament recap, but before we get into any of that, I'll remind you there were some giveaways I was running this week. If you recall the subscriber giveaway, you got to be subscribed, leave comments in each of my videos, and you got free entries into that giveaway. And as long as we hit the goal of the week, which this week was 320 subscribers, we were going to run this giveaway. Unfortunately, we did not reach that. We're at 312, so we're 8 subscribers away. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. And if you want entries into the giveaway, just leave comments on each of my videos every single week, and you'll get free entries. For those of you that participated this week, of course, we didn't run the giveaway. Your entries will get moved into next week's giveaway. So we're not going to lose any progress you guys had made. You're just going to have better chances to win $20. So again, $20 online. Typically, I run this just for $10, but because one of our winners donated his $10, the pot is bigger. It's double in size. So $20 free for you guys. Just be subscribed, comment down below. And of course, I have a prize picks giveaway that I do every single week. If you're not yet subscribed, if you're not yet signed up with Prize Picks, there's a link in the description below. That'll get you straight to the sign up page utilizing the promo code SweetSpot. And if you sign up with that code, put $20 in your account, I'm going to give you $20 back. Of course, you don't have to only put $20 in your account, but if you want to play for free, that's a good way to do it. So highly encourage you guys to do that. Again, link in the description. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the tournament. I have my dream sheet, which I provided for all of you guys to be able to use. I have not yet updated it. It's just meant to be a cheat sheet for you guys. So like, you're not going to have the position or DK points and round 1 through 4 scoring, but you're going to have everything else. If you want access to the sheet, this sheet, I update it every single week. You can find it in like the strategy video description or the preview video description. I'll probably provide in this I'll provide in this description as well, so you can see it there. It just typically isn't in my review videos. But yeah, you could have had access to the sheet, which has a lot of information on it. You know, all of it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see a lot of the headers up here. It explains what you're getting. But anyways, we can use this as kind of our tournament recap. Now, Sepp Straka is your winner. He gets his first PGA Tour victory. He birdied the 18th hole, and while he got to the 18th tee, and maybe just a little bit before that, it downpoured. It started downpouring in Palm Beach Gardens. So there were only like 2 groups on the golf course at that time, maybe even 3, when it just started to downpour, which kind of gave him a bit of an advantage because on hole 18, they had already hit their drives before the real heavy stuff came down. He was able to hit his approach shot on the green in 2. So his drive was not impeded by rain. And for those that like, well, these are PGA Tour pros. Yeah, absolutely. But rain just, especially if it was going through the whole round, it's not something you're kind of prepared for mentally. And also with your golf clubs, yeah, we have rain gear in our golf bags all the time, but it still can provide a misfire here and there, which I'll talk about Shane Lowry here soon. But for Sepp Straka, he was able to hit the fairway with his drive, hit the green in 2, and 2-putt for a birdie. He was tied before making his birdie with Shane Lowry. So he moves to, I think it was 10 under. Was that the winning score? Yeah, 10 under. Sepp Straka at 10 under. He moves to 10 under, which means Lowry has to birdie. Well, it's pouring. So Shane Lowry off the tee just smothers one, pulls it into the rough on the left, has to lay up, and then his next shot just yanks it left. So he's on the green, has a 30+ footer to try to tie Sepp Straka and go into a playoff. Ends up missing it by 1.5 feet, something like that. Never really had a chance, if we're being honest. Which means Sepp Straka is your winner. So the rain, I think, really helped Straka at the end there, because that par 5 is pretty gettable. Like, a lot of people can reach it in 2, And I think Shane Lowry could have. I don't know how much the rain really affected his drive, but I imagine it did to some extent. Whether it was mental or even physical, I'm not sure. Still kind of affected the outcome a little bit. Now, if you remember Daniel Berger, who ends up finishing in 4th place alone, he was leading this tournament for 3 rounds. Like if we go back to the DK page here and we look at, you know, these 3 rounds, if you look at Daniel Berger, it was all 60s, 65, 65, 69. So he was 11 under. Because you remember, it's a par 70. He was 11 under after round 3. He ends up finishing 7 under because he shot 4 over on Sunday's round. Look at that, 4 over, which is kind of disappointing. I mean, Daniel Berger had a real good chance to win this before Sunday started. And all the guys at the top of the leaderboard, they all came through, shot their 60s that they needed to in order to move up and have a chance to win this tournament. So unfortunate for Daniel Berger. He was a pretty clear, if you recall, actually, prior to the tournament, there was question marks about his back. He wasn't playing well. The last 2 tournaments that he played, he even withdrew in one of them, citing a bad back. Bad backs linger. Like, they will constantly follow you along, especially if you don't give enough rest. Berger did say in like a pre-tournament press conference that his back was fine. There was nothing really going on with it. Some of the stuff that with him withdrawing was precautionary. So if you took those words as truth and you had no issue rostering Daniel Berger, you guys were rewarded. Which, yeah, I mean, he was 19.22% owned. So I think a lot of people probably disregarded that and didn't really care that much. Either way, if you can tell, he was already, as I have it here, he's in the optimal lineup. So yeah, you wanted to roster Daniel Berger. And speaking of optimal lineups, let's just go ahead. Let's compare the GPP winning lineup versus the optimal. The GPP winning lineup are all the golfers here in light blue. They had all 6 of their guys inside the top 10. So congratulations. That is exactly what we're trying to do here at SweetSpotDFS. Get all 6 of our golfers inside the top 10. That's why we always review the top 10 through the bucket system, all that kind of stuff, to give us the best chance to get that, to have that happen. And sure enough, this guy got it. So again, it's awesome. Congratulations. He scored 502 points, used up 49,900 of the salary, so he only left $100 on the table. And he followed, let's see, 9K, 9K, 9, 3 9s, and 3 7K golfers. So a very unique build. The optimal lineup scored 539.5 points. So there's 37 points difference between the optimal and the $5. You would have to have left $700 on the table, which if you follow the sweet spot process, we want all of our lineups to be 49,000 and above. We can leave up to $1,000 on the table. It's not always advised. We allow the optimizer to build lineups with those rules. We don't intentionally try to leave money on the table. We want to get as close to 50,000 as possible, but anything north of 49 or, you know, equals 49 and above, that's totally fine. So we could have gotten there. There's no need to do a sweet spot optimal or a realistic optimal. It is all here. So 49.3. And they're all the golfers here with the little black tick marks on the top right. So it's Sepp Straka, Shane Lowry, Kurt Kitayama, which if you were listening to the broadcast, he kept saying Katayama. I don't know what it is with maybe just Americans or broadcasters in general. Whenever it comes to like an Asian last name and there's a T, like an I before an A, they always flip them. I've always noticed that. Like Katayama is what the guy kept saying. It's Kitayama. Come on. Kitayama. Daniel Berger, Gary Woodland, Chris Kirk. Those are your 6 golfers in the optimal lineup. Again, it equaled 49.3. And if you follow this, I say this all the time, the 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 is your traditional build. It ends up being the optimal lineup. And if we follow everything sweet spot process with salaries and how to construct those lineups, you would have been right there. You would have had a good chance because there are only so many 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 lineups you can actually build. So this proves to be one of those. So it was great to see. Now, the real big thing is, can we get there? Can we build the optimal lineup following all the rules that we brought in place in the preview and the strategy video? And I'm going to do that by using the optimizer to show you. But before we get in that, because the optimizer uses the SweetSpot Score as well as, you know, the Marquee tea time pairings now, let's go review those first, and then we can get into the optimizer. You can obviously use the timestamps below just to skip ahead if you want to. But let's take a look here. Let me put a filter on this and sort by the SweetSpot rank. So basically what I want to see inside the top 20 is at least 4 of the optimal lineup golfers in it. And so if I scroll down, you can't see 20th, but Stuart Sink was 20th place. We look here, we only find 2 golfers inside my ranks that are in the optimal lineup. So this is a fail. Something needs to kind of be updated with the rankings. Yeah, it's not good. If I even scroll down a little bit further, we have Shane Lowry, who was 30th, Gary Woodland, who was 40th. So it's just all across the board. If we sort this back out by position, you can kind of see the ranks over here on the side. Now you can see there was a lot of top 50 guys that finished inside the top 10, which is great. But it's still not good enough. So for me, this is kind of a fail. What do I have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 golfers inside the top 10 that are inside the top 50 of my rankings. That's not good enough. So I'm probably gonna have to adjust this for this tournament somehow. I'm not sure exactly what. I mean, it's a volatile tournament because of all the water in place. The wind that comes through. I mean, you saw the winning score was -10. If you were to look, we had 15 golfers at -1 or better. That's it. So this is a tough tournament to score in, just in general. Maybe with tougher scores becomes more volatility. I don't know. Something that I'll have to explore in the future. Now, coming back to the rankings, what I was talking about earlier on, or that goes with the rankings, is Marquee tea time pairings. So basically what I want to see is the scoring over here, the ranks, have to be under a threshold that I create for the week, which is just taking the field number, the number of golfers in the field, which is 144, multiplying it by 59%. That gets me to like a number that's 85. And as long as the 3 golfers, their rankings equal 85 or lower, they're in the Marquee tea time pairing. And basically, we want to find 2 of our golfers from the Marquee tea time pairings to anchor our lineups around and build from there. So let's see, can we find 2 golfers that are in the optimal lineup that are also Marquee tea time pairing guys? Now, the first 6 golfers you see are my honorable mentions. Shane Lowry is one of them. He is in the optimal lineup, but I don't really count this towards the Marquee tea time pairings because their score collectively was 96. So they're 11 points above 85. I only included them because they were close to that number with some high quality golfers in there. And you can see the other one, Glover, Todd, and Thompson, their score equaled 100. Not as close, but still worth mentioning. That's why we talk about them. But the true optimal lineups are right here. Not optimal lineups, Marquee tea times are right here. So if I highlight them by every 3, we want to find 2. And let the Honda Classic be the tournament to prove me wrong. Because if you recall what I say, never roster 2 golfers from the same group. And it's not so much never, it's just the chances are very low to find 2 golfers from the same group in the optimal lineup. Well, here we go. Daniel Berger, Gary Woodland. Both of them in the optimal lineup. They played together Thursday, Friday. It rarely happens. And I think it's just easier to make your lineups based off of the percentages, the likelihood of it happening or not, and just playing it that way. So although it did happen in this tournament, unfortunate for us if we follow these rules completely, because we were never going to have the optimal lineup. Now, I think in the future, and maybe I should be more clear about this, I think I did explain it quite a bit in the strategy video. Let's let our first 10 lineups have no rules when it comes to tea time pairings whatsoever. If we create 100 lineups, let the first 10 just be whatever they are. Maybe we have 2 from the same group, maybe we have 3, which would be kind of not good. Don't do that. But either way, that might give us an avenue to build a lineup with a burger and a woodland. That's probably the best way to do it. And then from there, close it off and only allow one golfer from each pairing to be chosen. So anyways, yes, we did find the 2, so it was a success in that part, but not in the part where I say you only want to grab one golfer from a typical pairing. So it didn't work out. Let's just be real with ourselves. It didn't work out. We had a couple top 20 finishes outside of that. Keith Mitchell was in the GPP winning lineup. He finished 9th. So, I mean, you could have went like Burger into Keith Mitchell or even Woodland into Keith Mitchell, and I bet you still would have been okay. But, of course, what I want to do is try to review this. Actually, let's start here with the summary, the bucket system summary. I'm going to hide these 4 columns to bring in 4 other ones just so you guys can see. I want to leave it on. I wanted to show you guys before I hide it so you guys can see how many golfers and whatnot are in there. I like to visually allow you guys to see that. But if I hide that and we use this little summary box over here, we can see how many top 20s there are, and you can compare that to my projections. So I'm not hiding anything from you guys. I have in this column over here that says success is letting you guys know, was this bucket a success with my projections? And if you're also a little confused why some of these numbers don't really make sense, remember, we're always rounding up in the max projections. So 1.23 is 2. That actually becomes 2. This here, 0.74, actually becomes 0. So it's 0 to 2 is what we're looking at. Now, in order for that bucket to be a success, we first look at the max projection versus the top 10. If this number is inside these 2 numbers, it's a success no matter what. If it's actually larger than this number, then we take a look at the optimal lineups for that week. And I have that in this column here. If this number is within this range, it's still a success, regardless of if this number is higher than my projections. So a good factor of that would be right here. I'm projecting somewhere between 2 to 5, last year's 6s. We ended up having 6 inside the top 10, but only 3 were in the optimal lineup. Therefore, that 3 lies within these 2 numbers. It's a success. So hopefully that made sense to you guys. If not, please comment down below or email me. But if we look at this column of the buckets, all of them were successes except for 1. And that would be your last year 2s. I had a max of 0 to 2, or I should say a projection of 0 to 2 golfers in that bucket finishing inside the top 10. We had 3. Of course, then we do our second checks. How many were in the optimal lineup? There were 3. So that's the only bucket that failed. If you follow these projections tightly and you don't really change from there, we were never going to build the optimal lineup. So the bucket system would not have worked in building the optimal lineup. So it fails in that regard, but can we actually build a lineup that follows that still wins the GPP? Because if that's the case, then it's a success. We're trying to win the GPP. Remember, we're aiming for the optimal lineup. If we end up missing and hit the GPP instead, so be it. We still win, right? So I currently have loaded your optimal lineup. And you can see in the conditionals right here, I didn't change this from the strategy video. This still remains from when I was creating lineups in that video. So you can see the golfers that represent each of these buckets are in here under this chose bucket. So it chose 3 last year 2s. Obviously, we just talked about that with the summary, with the bucket system, that 3 ended up happening from this bucket. And then 3 happened from the last year 6. Well, I had 2 minimums set here. I wanted at least 1 last year 5 and 2 last year 6s. The last year 6s worked, the last year 5s did not. So that's how this reads. You can read the rest of them down here, most of them worked out. We wanted last week 6s, somewhere between 3 to 6. 5 ended up happening, so that worked out well. The whole last week bucket box was a success. Course history box, we just had one bucket that we wanted at least 2 in, and well, 4 ended up being inside the top 10, so or in the optimal lineup, so that worked out. And then the other one didn't exceed our maximum, so the course history buckets completely perfect. Recent form, we wanted 1 from 2, 3, and the 4 bucket in the recent form stat, or let me say it a different way. We wanted 1 recent form 2, 1 recent form 3, and 1 recent form 4. That all works out, and none of them exceeded their maximums, so the recent form buckets, absolutely perfect. Strokes gained buckets, we wanted 1 strokes gained 2, we had 0. So the strokes gained bucket failed. The other ones did not exceed the maximum, so that was great. Unfortunately for the strokes gained 2, that didn't happen. When it comes to the 10K range, or not 10K, the salary range, we wanted to make sure we had 1 7K golfer, and guess what? We did. We had the 10 9 8 7 7 6 combo, so that all worked out. Salary buckets were great. So if we're concluding this, strokes gained buckets didn't work out, the last year buckets didn't work out, but the other 4 stat categories did, which obviously last week, course history, recent form, and salaries. These conditionals down here are based off of the groups, the group numbers that we highlight here. These are where you would put your marquee tee times. Now, I was messing around with this during the weekend, so I don't have those stats saved in here. It's not that big of a deal. We already talked about it with the marquee tee times. We had 2 from the same group finish in the optimal lineup, so it wasn't going to work out that way anyways. You see the group that was the optimal, that's great. Now let's let the optimizer run with no conditional set in, with all of our rules still in place, to see if we can build a lineup that beats the GPP. So let's go ahead and run. Remember, we want to beat 502. So in this box right here, if it's over 502, we would win all the money. But guess what? We tie the GPP winning lineup, which means we're just splitting first place money. So a tie, in my opinion, still wins because you're still making quite a bit of money. First place prize is just so, I don't know. It has the most amount of money there. They give first place prizes, in combination, or not in combination. If you were to compare it to the rest of the prize payouts, it's very heavy top loaded, or however you want to say it. It's loaded very heavy at the top. So yeah, we would get first and second place prize combined into one. That's still a good chunk of change. We don't take it down, but we still tie it, which that's okay. And again, we're using the strokes gained 2 buckets here. That obviously didn't show up, but yeah, we could have won. I don't think Brian Stewart was actually inside the top 10, and we won all 6 of our golfers inside the top 10. But when it comes to just points in general, it's not a big deal. So let's see here. It was Straka, Lowry, Berger, Svensson, and Mitchell. I think they all finished inside the top 10, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Mitchell was 9th. Let me actually open this back up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. So we had what? Svensson, it was Straka, Lowry, Svensson 9th place, Mitchell 9th place. Who else? Berger. Berger in 4th place, and then it was Brian Stewart, 66.5 points. Where would you have ended up? Brian Stewart. Oh, right here, 9th place. So yeah, all 6 golfers finished inside the top 10. Great. So it worked out. The sweet spot optimal, we would have tied for first. So it all works out. I want to check one more thing while I'm here with you guys. Let's just go through. Let's look at all the optimal lineup golfers, or the golfers in the optimal lineup. Let's just make sure they're not in a group that has additional optimal lineups. So nope. It's going to be a no. Okay. So it was just Berger and Woodland that kind of ruined that for us. Yeah. I I don't have anything else to say. So with that being said, hopefully you guys did well. Let me know in the comment section if you did. But other than that, we'll try to get it back again at the Arnold Palmer Invitational next week. I think it'll be a little easier. There's better golfers in the field. And I think it's just easier to predict. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.